It started basically about a year after I got to Westminster in 1998. So coming up into 99, I think is when it started. And it started at Grace Mullen's home. And right before it moved to Grace's, there were some students who were doing some studies in Voss or Gaffin or Murray or something like that. And as the study started moving toward Grace's place, which it did pretty quickly, we decided to just start focusing on things Voss had written, and we studied Grace and Glory, portions of the biblical theology. I believe we did Gaffin's Resurrection and Redemption. Danny and Camden, you both remember. I think things we did more than this, but and it really did develop into something once a month on a Friday night, no more than 20 people sitting down, reading through Voss, and having really rich fellowship in the truth as Voss was kind of guiding us and leading us, and we were starting to understand some things together that were just really encouraging. And I'll be honest with you, Camden. I think I've said this before. I don't know if I've ever said it on a Voss group, but I was really skeptical about doing Voss group because I didn't think there'd be, a whole lot of people who'd
Right.
be interested in hearing it. But you did talk me and remind me, said, Lane, remember, this is Voss we're reading. There, people will they'll want to
Yeah.
learn. So I think the difference between the original Voss group and this one, the one we're doing now online, is that I think we may go into a little bit more detail at
Hmm.
points than we did in the past. But the substance of it has stayed just the same because we're working through Voss's biblical theology. It's
Yeah.
been it's been fun.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. And then I'd agree where, it's not always sticking explicitly to exactly what Voss said, but trying to understand him from within and applying him to different theological controversies and issues to extend him. But I think the thing that makes me the happiest and the most joyful about Voss Group is the way in which it really has opened Voss up to the non-expert. You don't have to be
Mm.
an initiate
Wow.
through a seminary education or somebody who
Huh.
has spent so many years to read the real technical literature and then try to figure out how
Huh.
that might apply to preaching and whatnot. So in many ways, we've kind of democratized Voss on accident. Well, not not
Wow.
not
Yeah, I didn't
entirely.
even that wasn't even my plan. I just wanted to do Voss group.
Well,
That's
right,
great.
and it's just the way God uses the technology that it's just
Yeah.
more accessible. And that was the
That's
problem for me
wonderful.
before even moving to seminary, and it was the reason we started Reformed Forum to begin with. Is where I lived prior to moving to Philadelphia. I didn't have any Reformed people or Reformed churches to go to or Reformed people to speak with. And so I always felt like I was reading and studying in isolation. And then when I finally was able to move out to Westminster, I was having conversations every day, all the time. Probably too many of them. If you talk to my wife, and so, and no, that's true for you too. But but then with talking to Jim Cassidy and Jeff Waddington, we were able to sit down, have a conversation, and think about this and say, you know what? Why don't we record some of these? And there's these things called podcasts now. And they said, what's a podcast? It's like an internet radio show. So we can record it, put it online. And what most people might not remember is that you were our very first guest. We didn't do guests for about 20. Yeah. In the first, we didn't do outside guests for about 20 episodes or so.
Huh.
But that 20th some weekend on a Friday, we released an episode where you talked about, you want to take a stab at what your first appearance was about? Do you remember?
Well, there have been so many. I'm going to guess it was about Van Til's theology of the Trinity.
Nope.
No, I'm not
That
really
was later.
close.
It was about
Um,
the Gaffin Festschrift.
oh, really? The
Mm-hmm.
Gavin Festschrift?
Because it had just come out. That
Oh
you
my
and Jeff
goodness, that's
had
been a good while.
edited that.